was a good one because I had seen it pay off firsthand. But here's the thing, you don't have to take my word for it. Ask the Chrysler workers near Kokomo, who were brought on to make sure the newest high-tech transmissions and fuel-efficient engines are made in America. Or ask the GM workers in Spring Hill, Tennessee, whose jobs were saved from being sent abroad. Ask the Ford workers in Kansas City coming on to make the F-150 America's best-selling truck, a more fuel-efficient truck. And you ask all the suppliers who are expanding and hiring and the communities that rely on them if America's investment in you was a good bet. They'll tell you the right answer. That's right. And who knows, maybe the naysayers would finally come around and say that standing by America's workers was the right thing to do. Because I've got to admit, it's been funny to watch some of these folks completely try to rewrite history now that you're back on your feet. The same folks who said if we went forward with our plan to rescue Detroit, you can kiss the American automotive industry goodbye. Now they're saying we were right all along. Or you've got folks saying, well, the real problem is what we really disagreed with was the workers. They all made it out like bandits. The saving the auto industry was just about paying back the unions. Really? I mean, even by the standards of this town, that's a load of you know what. You know, about 700,000 retirees had to make sacrifices on their health care benefits that they had earned. A lot of you saw hours reduced or pay or wages scaled back. You gave up some of your rights as workers. Promises were made to you over the years that you gave up for the sake and survival of this industry, its workers, their families. Right. You want to talk about sacrifice? You made sacrifices. This wasn't an easy thing to do. Let me tell you, I keep on hearing these same folks talk about values all the time. You want to talk about values? Hard work, that's a value. Looking out for one another, that's a value. The idea that we're all in it together and I'm my brother's keeper and sister's keeper, that's a value. They're out there talking about you like you're some special interest that needs to be beaten down. Since when are hard-working men and women who are putting in a hard day's work every day, since when are they special interests? Since when is the idea that we look out for one another a bad thing? You know, I remember my old friend Ted Kennedy, he used to say, what is it about working men and women they find so offensive? You know, this notion that we should have let the auto industry die, that we should pursue anti-worker policies in the hopes that unions like yours will buckle and unravel. That's part of that same old you are on your own philosophy that says we should just leave everybody to fend for themselves. Let the most powerful do whatever they please. They think the best way to boost the economy is to roll back the reforms we put into place to prevent another crisis, to let Wall Street write the rules again. They think the best way to help families afford health care is to roll back the reforms we passed that's already lowering costs for millions of Americans. They want to go back to the days when insurance companies could deny your coverage or jack up your rates whenever and however they pleased. They think we should keep cutting taxes for those at the very top, for people like me, even though we don't need it, just so they can keep paying lower tax rates than their secretaries. Well, let me tell you something. Not to put too fine a point on it, they're wrong. They are wrong. That's the philosophy that got us into this mess. We can't afford to go back to it, not now. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a long way to go before everybody who wants a good job can get a good job. We've got a long way to go before middle-class Americans fully regain that sense of security that's been slipping away since long before this recession hit. But you know what? We've got something to show. All of you show what's possible when we pull together. Over the last 2 years, our businesses have added about 3.7 million new jobs. Manufacturing is coming back for the first time since the 1990s. Companies are bringing jobs back from overseas. The economy is getting stronger. The recovery is speeding up. Now is the time to keep our foot on the gas, not put on the brakes. And I'm not going to settle for a country where just a few do really well and everybody else is struggling to get by. We're fighting for an economy where everybody gets a fair shot. Right. Where everybody does their fair share. Where everybody plays by the same set of rules. We're not going to go back to an economy that's all about outsourcing and bad debt and phony profits. We're fighting for an economy that's built to last. That's built on things like education and energy and manufacturing. Making things, not just buying things, making things that the rest of the world want to buy. And restoring the values that made this country great. Hard work and fair play. The chance to make it if you really try. The responsibility to reach back and help somebody else make it too, not just you. That's who we are. That's what we believe in. You know, I was telling you, I visited Chrysler's Jefferson North plant in Detroit about a year and a half ago. Now, the day I visited, some of the employees had won the lottery.
Yeah, that's great.
Not kidding. They had won the lottery. Now you might think that after that they'd all be kicking back and retiring. And no one would fault them for that. You know, building cars is tough work. But that's not what they did. The guy who bought, funny you ask. The guy who bought the winning ticket, he was a proud UAW member who worked on the line. So he used some of his winnings to buy his wife the car that he built because he's really proud of his work. Then he bought brand new American flags for his hometown because he's proud of his country. And he and the other winners are still clocking in at that plant today.
Yes, they are.
Because they're proud of the part they and their co-workers play in America's comeback. See, that's what America's about. You know, America's not just looking out for yourself. It's not just about greed. It's not just about trying to climb to the very top and keep everybody else down. When our assembly lines grind to a halt, we work together, we get them going again. When somebody else falters, we try to give them a hand up. Because we know we're all in it together. Now, I got my start standing with working folks who'd lost their jobs. Folks who had lost their hope because the steel plants had closed down. I didn't like the idea that they didn't have anybody fighting for them. The same reason I got into this business is the same reason I'm here today. I'm driven by that same belief that everybody should deserve a chance. So I promise you this, as long as you've got an ounce of fight left in you, I'll have a ton of fight left in me. We're going to keep on fighting to make our economy stronger, to put our friends and neighbors back to work faster, to give our children even more opportunity, to make sure that the United States of America remains the greatest nation on earth. Thank you, UAW. I love you. God bless you. God bless the work you do. God bless the United States of America.
The president wrapping up his speech in D.C. Back here in New York. I have my panel assembled. I've got Karen Finney here, Susan Del Percio, Meghan McCain. Ladies, we have a short time left. Susan, I want to start with you. President Obama making this speech on a pivotal day in Michigan. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Romney's going to win Michigan. I think the president may have taken it out of play for the presidential.
Karen, do I need to ask you anything, or do you just want to smile at the camera?
I'm just going to point to the guy at the podium. He enough said.
Okay, enough said. He had you at hello. Meghan McCain, Arizona. Today, Romney's to lose.
Yes, Romney's going to win.
Romney's going to win. All right, so we're going to continue to watch this. Again, a big day with this Super Tuesday for Michigan and also for Arizona. That's going to wrap things up for me. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the hour that you've spent with